Hi, this is Ajay Anand. Welcome to science classes from excelup.com. In this video, you will be learning about transportation in living beings. You will be learning about the circulatory system in humans and about transportation in plants. When it comes to the simple organisms or simple plants, diffusion is enough to transport substances because the materials they need to be transported to shorter distances. But when it comes to complex organisms, the materials have to be transported to a larger distances. For example, in a plant, water needs to be supplied from root to maybe hundreds or 200 meters at the topmost branch. In human beings, the oxygen from lungs, it needs to be supplied to the toes and to the fingertips. So for that, these organisms, they need a complex system. In human beings, the circulatory system is composed of the heart, the blood and blood vessels. Blood works like a vehicle on which different materials they get transported. Blood vessels, they are the pipelines for transportation, and heart is a pumping organ. It pumps blood from one part to another part of the body. Let us observe the structure of the human heart. The human heart is a very small organ, which is so small that it can fit inside your fist. The human heart has 4 chambers. The upper chambers, they are called auricle, and the lower chambers are called ventricles. So there is right auricle and left auricle. Then there is right ventricle and left ventricle. The right auricle is connected with vena cava. One is superior vena cava over here and another is inferior vena cava. The superior vena cava brings blood from upper portion of the body, anterior portion, and the inferior vena cava brings blood from the posterior portion of the body. Okay. Then a pipeline from the right ventricle goes to the lungs. These are called pulmonary arteries. From lungs, pulmonary veins come to the left auricle. Then from left ventricle, the aorta goes, it supplies blood to different parts of the body. So what happens? Blood from systemic circulation, that is from different parts of the body, it comes to the right auricle. From right auricle, it goes to right ventricle, and right ventricle pushes the blood to pulmonary artery so that it can go to lungs for oxygenation. Once the blood is oxygenated, it comes to the left auricle through pulmonary veins, and pulmonary veins pushes the blood to left ventricle. Then left ventricle pushes the blood to aorta, from where it is supplied to different parts of the body. This flow chart, it will help you understand the flow of blood through heart in a better way. So from body, it comes to sinus venosus, from here to right auricle, then to right ventricle, and from right ventricle to pulmonary artery, and from pulmonary artery it goes to lungs. Oxygenation takes place over here. Then the blood comes to pulmonary vein, then to left auricle, from left auricle to left ventricle, then it goes to aorta, and aorta sends blood to the body. The blue color here and here indicates deoxygenated blood, and the red color, it indicates oxygenated blood. So human hearts, they have 4 chambers, and there is distinct advantage of 4 chambers. The 4 chambers, they allow double circulation. Double circulation is in which the blood passes through the heart twice in one cardiac cycle. One cardiac cycle means one heartbeat. It ensures that oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood are completely separated from each other. This provides a better efficiency in terms of blood circulation. Let us try to understand why this is necessary. For this, you need to understand the number of chambers in hearts of different animals. The fish, they have 2 chambers in their heart. Amphibians and reptiles, they have 3 chambers. birds and mammals have 4 chambers in their hearts. The fish, amphibian and reptile, they are called cold-blooded animal because they cannot regulate their body temperature. Their body temperature depends on the temperature of the environment. But birds and mammals, they can regulate their body temperature. So for this, they need more energy, a more efficient system. And that efficient system is provided by double circulation. Now let us talk about blood. So blood is a liquid tissue or fluid tissue. It is composed of RBC, WBC, plasma and platelets. Plasma provides the matrix, while RBCs, they are of red color because of the presence of hemoglobin. They carry oxygen along with them. WBCs are white blood corpuscles. They play an important role in immunity of the body. Platelets also play the role of defense mechanism, because in case if there is a leakage in the circulation, say for example you get a cut and the cut portion starts bleeding, what does platelet do? The platelets, they plug the gap and thus they stop bleeding. Thus they stop the excessive blood loss from the body. Okay. Now there are 2 types of blood vessels, veins and arteries. The veins have thin walls, while arteries, they have thick wall. Arteries, they have to carry blood under very high pressure, and that is why they need thick wall. Veins do not have to withstand high pressure, so thin wall is sufficient. But veins have valves in them, so that the blood flow is maintained in one direction only. Veins usually carry deoxygenated blood, while arteries carry oxygenated blood. There are exceptions. So pulmonary veins, they carry oxygenated blood, and pulmonary arteries, they carry deoxygenated blood. Then there is lymph also in this system. What happens when the blood goes to the capillaries? Some of the plasma, it leaks into interstitial space in between the cells, and this fluid is called lymph. This gets collected through lymph vessels and reaches various lymph nodes in the body. Later on, the lymph is emptied into the major vein, and lymph plays an important role in the immunity system of the body. So that's all for the circulatory system of human body. Now I will talk about the transportation in plants. Plants have 2 tissues for transportation. One is called xylem and another is called phloem. The transport of water and minerals, it takes place through xylem, while transportation of food takes place through phloem. The transportation of water is also called ascent of sap, that is the rise of the fluid. Okay. There are several factors which work together to ensure that water is transported in plant. The first factor is the root pressure, that is the difference between osmotic pressure inside the root cells and outside the root. Because of this difference, water enters the roots. From there, the capillary action takes place and it ensures that water rises up to some height in the main stem. The capillary action is the rise of liquid in a capillary. When you put a fine tube that is called capillary in a liquid, the liquid will rise on its own up to a certain height. Then comes the role of adhesion and cohesion. The tendency of water molecule to stick together with each other is called cohesion, and the tendency of water molecules to stick to another surface or another molecule is called adhesion. So because of this adhesion and cohesion, water molecules, they make a continuous column inside the xylem vessels. Now what happens at leaves? The transpiration keeps on taking place. This creates a vacuum inside the xylem in leaves, which creates a transpiration pull. So transpiration pull, it pulls the water column from xylem to upwards, and that is how root pressure, capillary action, adhesion, cohesion and transpiration pull, they work in perfect symphony to take water up to great heights. Say for example a palm tree or a coconut tree, the water has to rise up to maybe 100 meters or 200 meters. Now let us come to phloem. The transportation through phloem is called translocation. While physical forces are responsible for transportation through xylem, in case of phloem, the plant needs to spend some energy. So this energy, it pushes material into phloem. Once the material goes into the phloem, it increases osmotic pressure in phloem, and because of this difference, the material moves towards the target organ. In case of xylem, the movement is in one direction only, that is from bottom to top. But in case of phloem, the movement can be in both directions. It depends on from where the food is being supplied. So if the food is coming from leaves to different organs, then the direction is from leaves to different organs. If the food is coming from some storage organ to different parts of the plant, the direction changes. So that's all. So you learned about the circulatory system in humans, about the structure of heart, and about transportation of water and food in plants. Thank you.